Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. In today's episode, I wanted to do another arrogant speaking episode, overall showcasing my arrogance because people always like to bring that up. That I have an attitude problem, I'm always getting the runaround of who I am as a person. And it's crazy because, as soon as I speak out and say that, well, this is who I am, I think if anybody's gonna know me, good or better and stuff, it's gonna be me, I don't know what else to say after that. But no, people have it made up in their mind like who they are, more so talking on like if like somebody that they're having a conversation with, like they feel like that they already know them, like, oh, I'm so good at reading people, like I know everything I need to know about a person. And, nah, man, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, if you do a correct reading, that's one thing. But if you're trying to make it seem like that whatever it is that you're saying about that person is actual factuals, if that person agrees with it, then okay, yeah, sure, like you guys can, live your happy life. Just, allowing people to be read and then they agree on it and stuff. But you are going to come across somebody where it's like, nope, that's not me at all. And I'm not going to sit here and try to let you convince me on whatever person you got made up in your head. Like, fam, that's your head. That's your brain. That's not my brain. That's not who I am, But, throughout the years, though, it's funny because with every form of content that I've put out, that's one thing that people do bring up is that I do have an attitude problem. And I guess like with me, I don't know. I just don't allow people to walk all over me. But I feel like as people are saying that about me, I think that is one thing that I can say about those people is that they haven't been in enough interactions like, IRL, not like no internet interactions. No, I'm saying like real life, whether it's at school or whether it's at work or it's a neighbor, it's just some random stranger. If you're out and about somewhere and stuff, they haven't been in enough interactions with people to where it's like, I guess the stuff that they'll call me out for, like, okay, the attitude stuff thing, or stuff where it's like they'll call me out on that and they're like, oh, you have an attitude, you need to change it, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, it's something that needs to be brought up or said enough. But last I checked, the channel TMossBoss, I'm behind that channel. And as far as I remember, it's like, when you have a channel, when you have a platform, you're allowed to say, do whatever, what else? Be whoever you want to be, act however you want to act, have whatever form of attitude you want to have. Like, I guess, like, if I'm in an area where they say that type of stuff is not allowed, then that's a completely different story. Either it's one of those things where I'm just going to be respectful and wherever I'm at, if they have those type of rules, or I'm just going to ditch the spot and go on into a place where I can be myself. And that's the thing, though, where it's like people will try to, I guess, make it seem like that who you are is a bad person. No, it's not. If you want to have an attitude towards people that are very well given an attitude towards you in the first place, because that's the thing, though. People make it seem like that they're being friendly and they're being all calm, cool, and collected, but they want to say some old crazy disrespectful stuff, knowing that they wouldn't say those same things to a person face to face. They want to say it on the internet, and that's what I mean by these guys just kind of being like, what is it, like internet warriors or whatever they want to call it. I think internet warriors is like, that might be used for like a good thing. I don't know, there's today's terminologies with the internet, but no, overall though, it's like those individuals, it's like they make it seem like that what they're saying is normal. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just put it to the test. You go out and about in public and you have that same energy that you have online and you go and say that to a person face to face. I guarantee and I promise you, it's not going to end with just whoever it is, just being like, oh, okay, it's whatever and stuff. And then they probably might see this like, okay, something's wrong with you. You might be a little bit on the scale of a crazy person, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you're not. That's one thing that I've always have gotten people on where they've tried to approach me on some old crazy behavior, and then when I call them out on it, they're all like, oh, I act like this all the time. And it's like, okay, well, we'll put it to the test. Record yourself acting like this all the time, and I guarantee and I promise you, you're gonna change that act up real quick, so, but who I am on the internet, I guess like this attitude that people like to bring up and stuff is it's the same attitude that I would have with a person face to face. If I'm minding my own business and somebody approaches me, like let's say if I'm outside, Like, let's say it's snowing, right? It's snowing outside. I'm shoveling snow. Well, okay, well, it's snowed. Okay, I'm like, if it's snowing outside, I ain't gonna be shoveling snow while it's snowing. Okay, so yeah, let me just clarify that real quick. But anyways, but no, yeah, let's say it snowed. I'm shoveling the snow. Somebody walks up on me and they were like, "Oh, your techniques is all off." I'm like, okay, cool, thank you. I will, I guess, to make you feel better at night, I will change my techniques. That's called sarcasm. You know, it's like, fam, go on about your business. I'm not trying to hear all that right now. But it's people like that where it's like, you know, I think that they can see it in a person's face that it's like, okay, they don't care about what I'm saying. You know, I'm frustrating them. I'm changing their mood from whatever it was before and stuff. And it's people like that where it's like you can clearly see that, but you're not taking the hint. You're not catching the idea and stuff that you need to just walk away and just leave people alone. But if that's not clear enough, you know, my facial expressions and all that, that's when that attitude, like, my thing is this, I give people warnings, you know, when they are like, you know, I guess trying to cross me in a way where they want me to act out. They want me, you know, to, I guess, have an attitude. And that's the thing where it's like, if you don't approach a person on some old crazy behavior and stuff, and it's like, fam, why would that person have an attitude towards you then? You know, because that's one thing about it, is that anybody that I've met or anybody that I've had a conversation with whatever it is, it could be about video games, it could be about movies, music, it don't matter. I don't just have this random attitude. Like, I guess it don't just like, oh, somebody approaches me and be like, hey, nice shoes, and I'm going off on them and stuff. I'm like, well, why would I do that? What reason would I have if somebody's giving me a compliment? What reason would I have to approach them with an attitude? You know, so that's one thing that people need to make clear, I guess, if they are going to try to paint out this picture that I have an attitude, is that, okay, well, what caused that attitude? Because then people are going to be thinking along the lines like, oh, he just has an attitude with everybody. Like, he just be going off on everybody. There's all these different people on the internet saying he has an attitude. Oh, he must be like that with everybody. No, it's just people that just don't know how to mind their own business. You know, like, that's one thing for sure about content creating, is that people want to, I guess, try to add themselves into whatever it is that you're doing, you know, and that's the thing where it's like, you look at these same people that do that. They're not that type of kid, I guess. Like, if we're putting them in a school settings, they wasn't that type of kid that just walk up to a group of kids and be like, hey, I'm going to be your friend now because I'm hanging out with you guys. That's what it sounds like when people are like, hey, I'm going to give you advice about your YouTube channel because I'm a subscriber. Why do you think that I'm just going to, because like, oh, you say that you're going to do that, I'm just going to take the advice? Like, that's the thing that people, and it's so confusing where it's like, why is it that there are people on the internet that just don't have no form of awareness to when a person doesn't want to be bothered? Like, that's one thing that I felt like that I have tried to explain to people throughout the years. More so people, I guess, that approach me on some old weird behavior. It's like, fam, I don't want to be bothered with you. You know, I don't know if you're, you know, I guess, like, taking the hint and things, but you would think after being blocked numerous times, getting ignored numerous times, and not paying attention, still doing the same thing that I've been doing numerous times, you would think that right then and there, that would be enough of a hint. But it's like, no, people, and that's the thing, too, where it's like, you don't even need to give them a hint. You could be as direct as possible and be like, hey, I don't want to be bothered with you, and they still will find a way to be like, oh no, I gotta say this now, I gotta do this, I gotta do that because, oh, they did this or they're doing this and stuff. And it's like, fam, and that's another thing. Why does it matter so much to you? I guess because people, that's, you know, overall, like, getting back to the attitude stuff, that's one, you know, yeah, people have always brought it up. Why does it matter to you so much to have an attitude? You know, because there's all these different content creators where I guess they allegedly might not have an attitude. But why does it matter to you so much that I have an attitude? So, like, that's the stuff that I mean by, it's like, you know, people not knowing how to mind their own business when it comes to content creating. It's like, fam, I can have whatever form of attitude I want to have. Remember, TMossBoss, you know, my YouTube channel, my TikTok, my Instagram, anything with my face and my content creating name, or even government name, whatever the situation is, household, public spacings that I just so happen to own or either rent out, I can have whatever form of attitude that I want to have. Because I like, it's one of those things where I guess, you know, yeah, I might not own the website YouTube, but I definitely own my YouTube channel. I might not own the app TikTok, but I own my TikTok account. So I can say whatever I want to say, be whoever I want to be, have whatever form of attitude that I want to have, and that's the thing. Nobody ain't gonna be able to change that. And you know what? That's one attitude that I am going to push out, towards people, is that you have to, if you're trying to be a successful content creator, you don't need to be arrogant with everybody. But when it comes down to people where they think that, oh, I have some sort of ownership, oh, my opinion matters and all this other stuff, it doesn't. It really doesn't. You can make a video, you can leave a comment, and it's funny too because like I just remember one of the first few times, it's funny because like people get so upset when you, I guess, either ignore or delete, they're leaving an opinion about whatever it is. But I just remember it was that situation with Tyrone Magnus and Grade A Under A. And I remember I added my opinion, but that was the thing though. I didn't go to Tyrone Magnus's comment sections. I didn't go to Grade A Under A's comment sections. I went to my YouTube channel. I'm like, my thing is this. People ain't gonna probably see my comment underneath Tyrone Magnus's video. I'm probably gonna get flooded with a bunch of replies of people just going off on me because of what I have to say about Grade A Under A. But yes, during that situation, I was on Tyrone Magnus's side. Now I will admit, and I'm like, he probably shouldn't have reacted to Grade A Under A, because I think that's what the situation was. He reacted to Grade A Under A. Grade A Under A didn't like it. He copyright claimed the video. Tyrone Magnus deleted the video. Grade A Under A was upset. It's crazy how I still remember this after 11 years. But anyways, no, overall though, because that was like one of the first few times I had to say a content or a reactor or somebody that does reaction videos got into it with like a relatively big YouTuber and stuff. So, but anyways, I remember I did this video and this guy, he left like this, like it was like a multi-paragraph like long comment. It was like an essay almost. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, for one, I'm not going to read this. Two, I don't care. It's like you can have your opinion about whatever you want to talk about and say and all that. If you support Grade A Under A, cool. Support Grade A Under A. I'm not trying to take that away from you. But I guess if there's people that are neutral minded, I'm not. And that's the thing, anytime where I will defend a YouTuber from, Tyrone Magnus, Jinx, then there was my friend, the Hot Tea channel, aka Ray Rahimi and stuff with her, cause she was going through a situation with, Trisha Paytas, and I'm trying to think of some other YouTubers I've defended and stuff. I feel like I've defended quite a few different YouTubers and stuff, but I'll probably have to go through and check all of them and things, but anyways, but yeah, it's like, if you're, with the, Ray Rahimi situation, if you're a fan of Trisha Paytas, I'm not trying to take that away from you. But at the end of the day, I am going to state my opinion. And if I just so happen to have an attitude towards the situation, then okay, that's me. That is, and it's one of those things where it's like people need to understand that is human nature. It ain't no dip, but I just feel like that's just anything with a pulse, anything that has a heartbeat, anything that has a brain. If it has an attitude, you can't like, oh, stop having an attitude and I'm just gonna stop. If that's the case, then I'm like, go out into the wilderness and tell like a wild bear or something, or a coyote or a wolf. Or, go to the jungle and go to, a gorilla or a lion or a tiger, anything that's known for having an attitude. You try going out in the middle of the wilderness or wild, wherever, and try telling it to not have an attitude, and see, won't you end up in one of them documentaries on Netflix where they were like, yeah, we found remains of them, but we don't know where the rest of their body is at. We found bone fragments, a shoelace, and parts of a t-shirt. That's it. But they were in that area, there was a lot of blood. All right, so, and that's the thing though, where I'm not trying to say like that's who I am. I'm a lion or a bear or anything, but it's like just like how like a lion, a bear, a coyote, a wolf, whatever. How it has an attitude if you're invading its space. Just like me when it comes down to my YouTube channel. I don't want people, yes, it is a public environment. Any and everybody can come here, but that's one of those things though where it's like, it's either you're going to be respectful or I'm just going to ignore you. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you can't run a YouTube channel like that. I've been doing it for 16 years. Well, all right, so actually, no. Like, well, I guess like in a way, because I didn't really get into too much drama before 2015. But ever since 2015, that's how I've ran my channel. And it seems to be doing amazing for me. So people, they'll be upset by what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, if you, and I guess, yeah, you'll see a lot of different content creators out there where, yeah, they'll have it where people be talking crazy about them and all this other stuff. And it's either one of two things that individual is going to do, the content creator. So, like, let's say, Mr. Beast, for an example, somebody is making a hate video on him. How do you think he's going to respond to that hate video? He ain't gonna be like, oh, find out who the person is and be all like, hey, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Yeah, I'll stop, going around to different Twitch streamers and giving them $10,000. I'll stop going to Africa and, and helping out, like by building what he did. I feel like he did something over there. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. But yeah, just stop going around the world and helping people and stuff. Let me stop doing these competitions for content creators where they can get all this money and stuff. Yeah, I'll just stop being Mr. Beast because you don't like it. How do you think if somebody makes a hate video on Mr. Beast, how do you think he's going to react to that? It's either one of two things. He's either going to make fun of it or he's going to ignore it. It ain't no different than any. And the funny thing is like, even the people that have brought it to my attention that I have an attitude problem, let's say if you flip the script on them and then you say, hey, you have an attitude problem too, how do you think they're going to respond to that? It's definitely going to be one of those things where it's like they, cause yeah, that's something that I've just always have dealt with haters, is that when I call them out on something, they try to flip it back on me and be all like, no, you're doing this. Like I'll call my haters out for being a racist. No, you're being a racist. How am I being racist? What's the one thing that I said that's being I guess that's allegedly racist? Oh, we're just trolling, we're just joking around and stuff. Okay, well, you're gonna make that accusation, it's like at least have like some sort of evidence or something behind it and stuff. But anyways, yeah, it's one of those things though where I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna have an attitude, I'm still gonna be arrogant. I'm probably gonna do more podcast episodes and content like this where it's just, yeah, I'm letting people know it's like, hey, it's okay to be arrogant. Because why? It's your account. Yeah, if you're in an area where it's like, okay, being arrogant ain't welcome, then it's like, okay, leave up out of that area, go to an area where you can be arrogant. I'm not saying that you need to be like a negative arrogant person, but I feel like that in some situations it's like, yeah, you have to fight ignorance with arrogance, so yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, hey, I'm not going to, pretty much like, moral of this whole podcast episode, I'm not going to change who I am. I love being who I am, it's like, and that's the thing, it's worked out for me ever since, like, yeah, I've gotten into being a full-time content creator. It has been one of the most healthiest mindsets to have when it comes down to content creating. It's just blocking out anybody that's trying to be negative or say negative things and just doing my own thing as a content creator, so, but yeah, and it's funny too, because it's like people will say that I have an attitude. Meanwhile, I guarantee and I promise you, there's content creators that'll work with me before it works with the people that just brought it to my attention that I am a person with an attitude and stuff. It's like, at least my thing is this, at least I'm not being a racist pedophile. All right, so but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.